I looked at them and I said, so is it my gallbladder? And they said, no, we found a mass.
At the gate, yeah. God don't make no mistakes. What's your fate, bruh? Yeah.
Hey everyone, my name is Jaleesa, aka It's Just J Renee, and welcome to my YouTube channel. So none of you know me. This is my very first official YouTube video. I was recently diagnosed with ampullary cancer, so I wanted to share my journey. The title of this series is going to be called Life Interrupted, but I just want to start at the very beginning of how I got here. In the summer, I believe it was June, it was either in May or early June, I got a text message from a great friend. He's like a brother to me. He texted me and it was a Tuesday night, and he was like, are you going to be in church tomorrow? And I was like, yeah, I'm going to be in church because I go to Bible study on Wednesday nights. And he was like, good, I need to talk to you. So fast forward to Wednesday night Bible study. He pulls me to the side and he goes, you know, I seen you on Sunday and you look really yellow. I think you have jaundice. And I was taken aback because I worked in a baby hospital, and the only thing I knew about jaundice was like something that babies get, because as a baby photographer, when a baby had jaundice, we were not allowed to shoot any photos of the baby, do any photo shoots. So to me, I was just taken aback. I immediately told him, no, that's a baby disease. There's no way I could possibly have jaundice. But then when I got home, my mom is a nurse. I went and told her what my friend had told me, and she looked at me and she's like, you know, I thought it was the lighting, but you do look a little yellow. She's like, maybe you should go to urgent care. I was like immediately like, absolutely not. I'm not going to urgent care, because that weekend I had planned to go to the Capitol Jazz Festival in Columbia, Maryland, and my sister lives in Maryland. So that was going to be like our weekend to spend together, and we were going to see our favorite artist, which is Corinne Bailey Rae. So I was like immediately defiant, very stubborn. I'm like, no. The next morning I sent a text out to my siblings, and they were all like, are you crazy? Like, you need to go to the hospital. You need to go to urgent care. So I sucked it up. I went to urgent care. As soon as I went to urgent care, the doctor, they took some tests, but the doctor was like, listen, you are extremely yellow. I need you to get over to the emergency room. And he had a list of emergency rooms to send me to. I work for the health system here where I live. So I only had like a few options I can go to. I can only go to the hospitals within my health insurance because I work for the health system, the particular hospital system. So he was like, you could go here, but that's going to be a long wait time. So I think you should go here because their wait time is really short. So he sends me to a hospital on Long Island. I'm not going to name the name, but it was like a hospital I really did not want to go to. They had me when I got there, they did take me immediately. The wait time wasn't bad, but they put me in a room that was like, I found out was for people who like either want to kill themselves or because it was the only space available. So it was like these yellow walls, and it just was like it was just like so weird. So they were like, oh, this room is originally for psych patients, but you're not around other people, so like this is the best room. So they took me in and they're like, oh yeah, you're yellow. They didn't even run tests. They were like, we think it's your gallbladder. Now my symptoms was jaundice. I did not have any pain. So for them to say like, immediately go to that conclusion without testing me, it was very alarming. But thankfully there was a doctor, and he happened to be an African doctor. His name was Dr. Onu. He was not supposed to be in the ER that day, but he just happened to be there. and he kept saying she doesn't have any pain, so we need to run some more tests. Like it can't just be jaundice. They did send me for a CAT scan, and then the Dr. Onu, he was like, you did the CAT scan, but I want to order you an MRI because it has to be something else. You're not experiencing any pain. And the whole time I'm there, I'm like, okay, this is like a serious situation. But the whole time I was sitting there, my mind was like, I don't care what y'all do. I just need to get to the Capitol Jazz Festival this weekend. Because the next day I was planning to leave that evening and go meet my sister. So I had train tickets literally for the Friday. I kept moving my train time. And my doctor was like, after they ran an MRI, they're like, we're going to have to admit you. And I'm like, what? He's like, you have to be admitted because we need to do an MRI. We need to find out what's wrong with you. Because his thing was like, again, you're not experiencing any pain. I mean, I was functioning like a normal person. I did not want to stay in the hospital because I felt amazing. But they admitted me, and then I got admitted to a holding room. My mom and my cousin Alyssa, they were there. They had to switch out back and forth. Thank God they were there, because they kept me sane. They admitted me, and my mom had to leave. She wasn't allowed to stay with me. I literally cried like a baby. Imagine a 33-year-old woman, like upset in tears because she's gonna be left alone in a hospital that she didn't want to be in, that she didn't like. She didn't like the looks. I did not like the looks of anything in this hospital. And they had me in like a holding room, and they gave me food, which looked terrible but was actually decent. And then I thought the area that they were holding me in was going to be my room for the night, but apparently they were like, no, this was just where you wait to find a bed, because the holding area was really clean. I was by myself. It was amazing. The nurses were really nice. Then they were like, okay, it had to be 1 a.m. We found you a bed. As soon as I went, they took me to the bed. It was like, it felt like hell from there. The bed, the room that I was in, I had a roommate, and it smelled really bad in the room. My roommate made a lot of noise. She did not adhere to any of the instructions. Her bed kept going off, like, stay in the bed, stay in the bed. Nurses were in and out of the room all night. I did not get a good night's sleep. I was not able to use the bathroom because the bathroom was horrendous. Fast forward to the next morning, and they take me for my MRI. I still had this roommate. I had asked my mom. I was like, Mom, you need to pick up air freshener because I can't. So she's like, why do you need air freshener in a hospital? I'm like, you'll understand when you come here. So Mom thought it was ridiculous. My cousin texted me and was like, do you need anything? I'm like, you know what? I need air freshener. And then I had to think about it because my cousin was pregnant. I'm like, I don't want to send my pregnant cousin on an errand. So I went on Amazon and I said, look, I ordered air freshener. It'll be at my house by that time you go there. Just get the box. And then she asked me if I wanted something to eat, but I wasn't allowed to eat at the time. So I told her like I was fine. Then they took me in for the MRI. I waited literally the whole day, but thankfully my roommate, she was discharged, so I didn't have to deal with that. They ended up having to come in and clean the bathroom before I could really use it. They actually, for me to use the bathroom, I had to go to a whole different bathroom. That's how terrible the bathroom was. Like, I'm not being dramatic. That is how the nurse looked in the bathroom, was like, oh no, and sent me to another bathroom. So fast forward to, I had the MRI, ended up watching a Harry Potter marathon while I waited for my test results. I was not allowed to eat until I got the test results back. And then all these doctors come into my room. It was probably around 6 o'clock at night. My older brother, he had like just walked through the door, and the doctors are delivering. They were like, I looked at them and I said, "So is it my gallbladder?" And they said, "No, we found a mass." And I can remember breaking down and crying in tears, and it was like my life flashed before my eyes. Like that was something like I have always been fearful of hearing. Like that was something that was one of my biggest fears. Cancer, was one of my biggest fears. And as soon as I heard him say, we found a mass, and they thought it was on my pancreas, and my life like flashed before my very eyes. I was like, oh my gosh, I'm not going to see my nieces and nephews grow up, my godchildren. Like, I am literally everybody's plan B in my life. Like, I'm thinking like, what's there? Like, I cannot leave this earth because there's so many people that depend on me. I don't have kids, I'm a single woman, but there's a lot of people in my life that depend on me and I'm happy to be there for. And that's all I could think of at the time they're delivering the news. My brother, he walks over, I hear him say, "Is Jaleesa here?" And they had just delivered the news to me, and they explained to him like what was going on. And my brother, thank God, was there to comfort me. They wanted to tell me more information, but since my mom is a nurse, I had told them like, y'all need to come back when and deliver all the other information when she gets here. So they delivered that the particular hospital that I was in, they could not do the proper procedure because something clearly is blocking somewhere, that the mass is somewhere and it's blocking something that is causing the jaundice. So they had to transfer me. Now the hospital they transferred me to, I will name because I think it was the best hospital. And I think everything from here, from me transferring from this hospital to the next hospital, like everything that happened was like God was moving through each and every physician. So the doctor at the first hospital that I was at, he said, "We don't have the capability of handling cases like this, so we're going to transfer you to a hospital that does." And the hospital they transferred me to was LIJ. But I couldn't be transferred to LIJ right away. They had to find me a bed. The nurses come in. I'm like, I'm hungry. I got this news. I'm hungry. Like, get me something to eat. It took them forever. I had friends come in and visit. They prayed for me. And then when they left, I get a call from my cousin, the pregnant cousin, and she's like, "I'm staying the night." She had already called the head nurse and everything. She says she's staying on the night. I tell her, I'm like, "Can you bring me something to eat because they haven't fed me?" And they told me the kitchen is closed. Now, the way me and my cousin operate is like, we will advocate for each other. We will fight for each other. So that pissed her off immediately that I did not eat. She was very annoyed, but you know what? They were going to allow her to stay the night, so I was completely fine. She brought me Chinese food. As soon as she came in, I think she didn't even sit down for 10 minutes before the ambulance service came, and they were like, we're here to transfer you. Now, I did not tell y'all, as soon as I was admitted, I had told my mom, go get my laptop. Like, I had a bag already packed for my trip. So I'm like, go get this bag, get my pajamas, put the dresses in, my suitcase, like, just get everything. And my mom was like, okay. I had got dressed. I was not wearing a hospital gown. I was wearing satin pajamas, a blue satin pajamas. I had my little head bonnet on, and the ENT comes in and they're like, we're transferring you. And I was like, but they told me I wouldn't probably be transferred till tomorrow. And they were like, do you want to stay here? And I said, absolutely not. So they were like, you know, you get your stuff together and then like let us know outside. So I get my stuff together. I am packing. I'm still considered a patient, but I don't feel like a patient. So I was ready. I put my backpack on. I walked out, and the EMT people are looking at me. They're like, "What are you doing?" And I'm like, "I'm ready to go." I have my backpack on my bed, and they were like, "No, you can't do that. We have to put you in the stretcher." And I'm like, "Oh, but you told me when I was ready to let you know. So this is me letting you know." And then all the nurses, they were looking at me like I was crazy. They're like, "I guess she's ready to leave." In my mind, I'm like, heck yeah, get me out of this place. My cousin is laughing because she thought it was funny. She did not tell me that I had to wait for them. She knew I had to wait for them, but she did not tell me. She just allowed me to walk out with my backpack on my back and my suitcase rolling. They were like, "We have to sign paperwork." I'm like, okay. So I went back in the room and they were like, "We're finally ready. We're going to transfer you." And they put me in the ambulance. As soon as I get in the ambulance, I'm like, I'm an employee. Do I have to, like, is this going to be covered? Like, am I going to get a bill for this? And they're like, "No, you shouldn't get a bill. You have the company insurance. You'll be covered. You should be fine." So they were like, the hospital we're taking you to, it's like the Hilton hotels of hospitals. And I was like immediately excited because I remember when I had a woman that I work with. She was Chinese. I called her Mama Chen, and she had dealt with breast cancer. So I remember going to the CAT center because I'm like, if they're saying it's the Hilton hotels of hospitals, then it has to be that I'm going here. So she was in the CAT center, and it looked like a hotel. They had snacks and water, and it just looked amazing. Everybody had their own room. And I did not get transferred to the CAT's Women's Center, but I did get transferred to the Zuckerberg Cancer Pavilion. And from then on, my cousin had to remind me. She's like, "You're not in a hotel. You are in a hospital." But the room looked amazing. The room looked amazing. I had my own bed. There was a TV. There was a desk. There was a couch. There was the chair that men complain about when their wives get pregnant that they have to sleep in. However, I find that chair very comfortable. So they transferred me a Friday night, and then a doctor comes in once I get settled in my room, and I am unpacking my suitcase. Like, I'm hanging up my clothes that my mom brought for me, and I'm standing in a satin pajamas, and the night doctor comes in. My cousin is now sleeping on the couch because she's pregnant. She's tired. She's sleeping on the couch, and my doctor comes in, and he's like, "I'm looking for Jaleesa." And I'm like, "Oh, that's me." And he's like, "You're a patient?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I'm a patient." And he's like, "Oh, you don't look like a patient." And I said, "I don't feel like a patient, but they said they found a mass, so here we are." And he leaves, and he comes back, and I had asked my night nurse, I had asked her for blankets. So when he comes in, I am covering my cousin with a blanket. And my doctor comes in and he sees this, and he's like, "You clearly are the caretaker of people in your family." And I said, "Yes." And I said, it is always my pleasure to make sure that my family is good. So he explains to me like what's going to happen the next day. And they were going to take me down for another CT scan. Or it was either a CT scan or an MRI they were taking me down for. He was like, "We're going to do that. Then when you wake up in the morning, somebody will come." I went to bed. Fast forward to Saturday morning. I meet Dr. Wong. Dr. Wong, it says like, you know, so-and-so doctor. I can't remember the doctor from the other place's name. But he's like, "He told me about you, and we're going to see what's going on. We're going to do some tests." I had to stay in the hospital that whole weekend because once I got my results, which they found, once I got my results, they said, oh, it's actually not here, it's here. We're going to do an ERCP, I think that's what it's called. If it's not the proper name, I'll insert the proper name, but I think it was an ERCP. He was like, he drew it out, what was going on, because they had said that they had to redo the images from the other place because the images, they couldn't really see well what was going on. And then they said, like, some of my samples, I had to do tests over again because some of my samples got contaminated. So once I got all my results on Saturday, they explained to me like what was going on, and they said that there was something blocking my bile ducts, which I had never heard of bile ducts before. And it was preventing the bile from going through, which was causing the jaundice and the itchiness that I had been feeling. Like, I didn't even tell y'all, for months I had been itchy and I thought it was my eczema, but it turned out to be the jaundice. So he's like, something is blocking, we need to put a stent in, and then we're going to take a sample, and then we'll come up with a game plan. What I love about Dr. Wong is he is a one step at a time person. He's the type of doctor who is like, I need to get this information first, and then we'll build a plan, which I appreciated. So the whole time that I was in the hospital, I did not look like a normal patient. I would get up in the morning, shower pretty early, like around 6:30. I would have my lipstick on, my hair was done. I had these cute little dresses that I would wear. And then I had the hospital socks and some slippers that I had my mom bring. So I didn't look like a normal patient. And the reason for that is because growing up, whenever I would see like my great aunts, whenever they would go to the hospital, I've always seen them look their best. And they've always taught us that no matter what you're going through, you look your best. You look your best. You don't always have to look like you're going, like what you're going through. So I adapted that method. So when the doctors would come in, my sister, she came in on a Saturday. She was sleeping on the couch and she had the covers over her head. I was in the bathroom and the doctors came in and they're like, I heard them say, we're looking for Jaleesa. And my sister would say, they're in the bath. She's in the bathroom. And then my sister would be like, oh, they thought I was the patient. And I'm like, yeah, because you kind of look more like a patient than I do. Like, I think she had satin pajamas on as well. Like, we literally were in the room looking like we were in a hotel, but it wasn't a hotel stay. But the doctors would come in and they'd just be amazed because they're like, you're moving around. And I'm like, yeah, because I don't feel what you guys are telling me. Like, aside from itchiness, I'm not feeling what you're telling me. There was a dust there that I told you guys about earlier. Sometimes the doctors would come in and I'd be working at the desk, doing quotes for clients, building websites, and doing content. Like, I was still working. I was still doing things that I normally would do. My Dr. Wong had told them, he's like, just leave her alone. Like, let her be. I think I would be recording voiceovers because at the time my friend was having a play. I would tell my nurses when they come in, I'm like, can you guys like come back in maybe an hour because I need to finish my voiceovers? And they were just like, okay. So they pretty much left me alone until Monday. By the time we got to Monday, I think the ECRP, I was waitlisted, so I had to wait till the end of the day. And I had a lot of support during this whole weekend. Like, I had friends coming in. At one point, we had 9 people in the room. There was only supposed to be 2, but they gave me like a special allowance. So friends and family were coming in and out. My nieces and my nephew came to visit, even though like there was a children restriction. They allowed them to come on the floor. They allowed them to come in my room. In fact, my niece didn't realized it was a hospital. She herself thought it was a hotel because when they were coming in, I was setting up like snacks and stuff for them because I knew they were coming in the room, and I know that my nieces and nephews like to snack. So I was getting them snack, and my niece was like, can I have the remote? So I turned on TV for her. She's like, are we staying the night? And I'm like, her mom's like, no, this is a hospital. This is not a hotel. So like I had a lot of support. When it came time for the ERCP, I still had a lot of friends and families with me. Like I had my friend Elissa, who was going through her own cancer journey, her mother, my sister, and like 2 or 3 other friends. Marla and like her daughters were with me. And so by the time that it came to Monday, they were with me. They walked with me while I was in the stretcher, down to the floor where I was supposed to get my procedure. And they stayed with me until they couldn't stay with me. And then my sister was the only one allowed in the prep room. And by the time we got to the prep room, that's where I meet the anesthesiologist. Had no idea I was getting anesthesia. And then the gastroenterologist and all the other workers that were going to do the ERCP. They broke down everything that was going to happen. Before I went in, my sister, I had already like mentally was like, all right, I'm ready for this. I'm calm. And my sister, she has like way more anxiety than me. She started rubbing my arm and like started like, okay, you're gonna be fine, and pray. And I was like, Jasmine, I need you to go over there and pray. And my doctor started busting out laughing because he's like, wow, that was a little harsh. But I'm like, I'm mentally calm, and she's actually making me nervous. So we went in for the ERCP. All I remember is them telling me to breathe deeply. I think 3 times. I was knocked out, woke up, and was like, it's over. And they told me like the whole procedure, it was expected to take longer. Actually ended up only being 45 minutes. When I came out of the operating room, I just remember telling the doctors and the staff, and like, everybody is so beautiful, because it felt like I was in General Hospital, how good looking everyone was. And then when we went back to my room, my brother and my mom and my sister were there for the evening, and I had anesthesia, but it wore off really quickly because I had a lot of energy. My brother had to tell me he had to kick everybody out of the room and tell me to go to bed. Like, that's how like bad it was, because I had so much energy, but I'm like, I don't feel tired. And my sister's like, you are not normal, because they said you're supposed to be asleep for the rest of the day. And I wasn't. I slept with my laptop the whole stay. My laptop was on the little stand by the bed with my phone. I would take naps, do work, take naps, do work, take naps, do work. The nurses were annoyed with me. My family was annoyed with me, but that's just how I am. Fast forward to the next day, Dr. Wong comes in and he says, like, basically, you know, I think it's a polyp, but I'm not sure, but it looks like it's periampullary. And at that point, I didn't know what the heck that was. He was like alluding to the fact that it was ampullary cancer, but he didn't want to say it was ampullary cancer because he still wanted the biopsy to come back. I got discharged on a Wednesday, then got a call maybe 1 or 2 weeks later from Dr. Wong, and he did say, you know, we did find ampullary cancer, but the good news is it's not attached to any major vessels, blood vessels, so that they can operate it and have to do chemo first. And then, like my blood work, there was no signs of any cancer cells floating around, so that was good too. After Dr. Wong like explained the findings, he said, I want to get you on the schedule. So we scheduled my surgery for July 21st, ended up being July 28th. I'm going to share more in a different video because the surgery in itself was a whole like experience that cannot be done. That would take too long. But I just want to say thank you so much for tuning in and listening to my story. Please remember to like, share, comment, and subscribe. And for those of you that find that your life is interrupted, whether it be like you're going through financial situations, health situations, an interruption in your work, I just want to encourage you that whatever you're going through, to put your trust in God, because really He is the only one that's going to get you through. If I had continued to wallow in my sorrows after hearing about, them finding a mass, I don't think I would have made it as far as I did. Honestly think everything that I've gone through would have had a different outcome. So, everything is also about mindset. Put your trust in God, but also have a positive mindset, because mindset is everything. How you view things when you're going through, and I know it's tough, it's not easy, but just try to remain optimistic and positive, and you can come out. I'm still going through my process with chemo and everything, and it is overwhelming at times, but I just continue to trust God. So I just want to take the time to thank you for watching this video. This is my life interrupted, and until next time, bye.
At the gate, yeah. God don't make no mistakes.